Broadcasting from Detroit's Cass Corridor, it's the Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. This hour, the Smithsonian is under pressure to change how America's story is told. We'll hear from a Michigan museum director about what it all means. But first, the Belle Isle Art Fair will celebrate its 11th year at the state park. Produced by Mark Loeb, president of Integrity Shows, the juried fair features 100 professional artists from more than a dozen states. The two-day festival happening this weekend will also spotlight teen artists, helping build their young resumes. And the Belle Isle Art Fair is free with a state park pass. Joining us now to talk more about the fair is producer Mark Loeb and participating artist and owner of Apple and Thistle, Maddie Chen. WDET is a partner of the Belle Isle Art Fair. Mark, Maddie, welcome to the Metro.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, Mark, jumping in. Hello, number one. Nice to see you again.
Likewise. Always a pleasure.
What's new about this year's event that excites you?
Well, I keep overdoing it. We've had some kind of interesting installation every year. We had mermaids once. We've had everything you can think of. This year, we've got 3 installations. We've got the Grand Dome, which is a dome made out of over 100,000 bottle caps.
Wow. How?
And we're going to talk about mint, you said a little bit later, but they helped with that one. Wow. We have the Instrument Garden, which is a place for you to try out different instruments, lay down some tracks. And Rob Reinhardt is going to be playing a song that they're going to create during the weekend, during his show on one of the Sundays. It might be a couple of weeks while they're finishing it up. And then the third one, since the Scott Fountain is still not operating, I commissioned a inflatable fountain, which is a 40-foot wide installation that doesn't have water, but because of the motion and such, mimics what a fountain looks like.
Mark, you said go big or go home this year.
Exactly. We've got to keep making it more and more fun.
And for listeners as well as myself, but the Belle Isle Art Fair has juried and non-juried art on display. Explain to listeners why the juried portion of the art fair is important to participating artists.
Well, we've got actually ended up being close to 140 now juried artists. We get applications from all over the country in every medium, and we have an artist committee that goes through and says, what is going to be the best for this show? Of course, quality and creativity are important, but it also has to suit the island atmosphere. We say that we're at the intersection of art and nature, so a lot of the artwork reflects that. Mm-hmm. Then, in addition to that, we've got Mint Artists Guild, which are teen and young adult artists who are just learning, and we're trying to help them figure out a career path in the arts. And frankly, a lot of artists make their living doing art fairs. Mm-hmm. We also have the other end with our heritage artists, which some of the people who've been in art fairs for decades no longer really have the stamina to do the setting up the tents and the loading and unloading. So we have a space where we invite them in to a tent that's already set up, and we can assist them and make it possible for them to extend their careers.
Yeah, so interesting. And you brought up the Mint Artists Guild tent. You also have the Heritage Artist tent that you were talking about, as well as the Immersion Artists tent. Now, talk about for a moment the Mint Artists Guild tent and how they helped with the 100,000 bottle cap dome that we're going to see.
Well, Adrian Outlaw is the artist that created this for Art Prize last year. Mm-hmm. This is the only other stop in Michigan that it's going to have. It's basically a geodesic dome, which if you know how those are built, you have triangles. So Mint did, I think, 25 or 26 of those triangles by inserting the bottle caps onto them. A couple other groups helped too, and then it's all assembled to become a dome.
That's amazing. I just only imagine how long it took to collect 100,000 or more than 100,000 bottle caps.
Yeah, that's more Coca-Cola than I drink in a year, I'm sure of it.
Oh, man, I'm trying my best to get away from Coke Zero, but it is just so good.
Yeah. It burns so good.
It burns so good. Maddie, bringing you into the conversation. You started your business Apple and Thistle in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, before we get into it, may you please fill us in on where the name came from?
Absolutely. So the name Apple and Thistle comes from my two cats.
Oh.
One is very fluffy, one is regular length hair, and they are very sweet. They are excellent muses. They are excellent studio assistants. And so when I was looking for a business name, it made sense. Oh, Apple and Thistle. That's a cute business name. So, well, my sister helped me pick it. I was floundering a little, and she suggested that. I was like, oh, yeah, that's great. And we just rolled with it, and the rest is history.
It's the perfect name. And just like you, I have a long-haired cat and a regular short-haired cat. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's just like such a life-changing experience. But for you starting the business in the early days of COVID-19, what was your motivation?
Honestly, like a lot of other people, I was very bored. I was just looking for something to do to kill time. And I wasn't even thinking of it as a business. I was looking to get a little creativity in, try something new. I made my very first print in lockdown, and I fell in love with the medium right away and knew that I had to keep exploring it, keep growing, keep challenging myself. And now I go to art fairs. I've done the Belle Isle Art Fair. I think I did the first one in 2022 was my first time there, and I love it. It's one of my favorite ones.
Basically, as soon as the world started to open up again, you said, you know what, I'm going to go and enter into this art fair.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And Maddie, you create prints using the linocut printing method. Please describe the technique for listeners. Why did you choose this particular method? What drew you to it?
Well, it looked really interesting. I was watching a lot of videos on social media, and it seemed very soothing, very therapeutic, the whole process. You have a block of linoleum. I started using softer rubber, which is a lot easier to manipulate and carve. And then I have these carving tools, and you work and you carve out all this material, and what you're carving away ends up being the white space in the print. So it's the way I like to describe it, it's kind of the opposite of drawing. You are removing what you do not want in the image, which is a little tricky when you're first learning to do it, especially if you're teaching yourself. But once you have that light switch moment, it's like, aha, that's it. And you can't stop at that point. You just keep going. It's so fun.
I'm staring at the example that you have right now, and I'm looking at all of the white space that is presented there. Before you had that aha moment, how many times were you accidentally removing things that you were going to need later on?
Oh, quite a bit. I also took some chunks out of my fingers too.
Oh.
But, you know, once you have a few slips, you realize pretty quick, I need to hold these tools more carefully, and I need to be very intentional with how I'm moving this. And sometimes, depending on if you remove a piece of the material accidentally, you can actually maybe super glue it back. Oh. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. If you're working on a piece that has a face in it, you want to start with the face first, because if you do everything else and then you leave the face and then you mess that up, you're kind of have to start over again. Oh. So there are ways around it and ways to learn to do the trickier parts first so that you don't have to do everything again.
And what are your tools? What are the tools called?
So I think they're printmaking tools. I use specifically a brand called FlexCut, and they come in different shapes, different sizes. So you can see in the piece that I brought, I have all these little fine lines. I use my favorite tool for that. It's really tiny and it's V-shaped. And then for all the big space, I have a much larger tool that scoops out large chunks of it at a time.
Nice. Now, this is the Metro #1. I'm Tia Graham. We're talking about the Belle Isle Art Fair this weekend, August 1st and August 2nd. My guests are organizer Mark Loeb and artist Maddie Chen. Now, Maddie, earlier this year, you curated an exhibition in Milan titled We the People. Mm-hmm. It was on display for a little under a month, and all proceeds from that event went to the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center and the Washtenaw Interfaith Coalition for Immigrant Rights. Mm-hmm. Throughout your career, have you frequently used art as a way to speak truth to power?
You know, I have worked on a lot of pieces that were primarily for myself in reaction to how I was feeling about current world news or things going on closer to home. And the reason why I ended up putting on that exhibit is I was realizing I was making all this art. I was posting it on my Instagram, but it didn't feel like I was really doing much with it. It felt like I was kind of just making things and shouting into the void. And for that specific exhibit, I realized, you know what, I think I've seen other artists posting similar reactions, and I bet there's a space that would be happy to host this and have money going towards a good cause. We can all come together and feel stronger together, feel more powerful together. And it's not just feeling that, it is that, right? It's building that strength, it's building that community. And it was such an incredible experience. I was not expecting the number of artists to apply who did, and the event was packed the whole day, which blew my mind. I was thrilled with the response and the turnout.
Now, what did it teach you, that event and the outcome and the results, about the power of art in general, and not just, it being this thing that's pretty in a museum or a gallery, but it can be used to make real change?
Oh, I don't know that I can even put that into words. Honestly, it was empowering is what it was. It taught me, even when you feel like you're just one person and maybe you can't do much because you're just one person, you're just one drop in the ocean. If you think about it a little bit, if you reach out to other people, everyone is happy to come together, and then there's so much more to it at that point. Once you get the people together and you can make a difference that way, all the single individual droplets coming together, making a wave.
One of my favorite things about just art in general is just that it has a way of showing you true human connections and the connections that are happening in everyday spaces and across the country. So, I'm very grateful that art exists in that way. Mark, as a longtime organizer of the Belle Isle Art Fair, we've talked about this before, but we talked about AI.
Yes.
Are expectations changing due to AI? Have you noticed anything?
Well, there's a fear that AI is going to change the art world. And I try to remind people that the camera did that years ago. When the camera was introduced, there were painters that said, oh, painting is dead. There's not going to be anyone who wants a painting anymore. Well, that's when abstract and other types of art emerged in response to that, because they didn't need to be perfectly realistic anymore. So I think AI is going to turn into something that artists may use, but for now, it's still the fear factor, and we don't allow AI in the show. How can we tell? Well, we do a good job, but you'll let us know if you think we're not. But it's a continuum, really. There's the originals, which is a painting. There's the prints, which is something like Maddie does, which generally are each a little bit different because you're inking it and printing it individually, and often are signed and numbered. And those are collectible, very much so. What's happening a lot now is what we would call reproductions, which is a high-quality copy of an image that the artist has done. G Clay is one of the brands for that. And those, as long as they're limited edition, well done, and are also collectible. So somewhere along the line, AI might fit in there, and you can't tell necessarily. If we got a second, I have a story about an artist that I've been working with.
Unfortunately, Mark, we don't have that second to get into this story, because I do want to hear the story, but we have about a minute to go, and we often talk about the different art-related events happening each and every year. For people who are listening right now who may not have ever been to an art fair, why should they care about the Belle Isle Art Fair?
Well, it's a very beautiful and comfortable spot, and it's not your straight line art fair like a lot of the city shows. You're not walking down an asphalt street burning up. You're in the grass. You're in a somewhat shaded area. You're in a relaxed environment where you can really enjoy the art. And frankly, the most important part of art fairs to me is getting to know the artist, because then you have the story. So when people admire that print by Aunt Maddie, you can say you met her, and you can talk about her cats, and do the whole story. It's a whole different thing than buying art at a gallery or other place.
Yes, Mark, as always, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro. Mark Loeb is president of Integrity Shows and coordinator of the Belle Isle Art Fair. And Maddie Chen is a Clawson-based artist participating in the Belle Isle Art Fair this year. The fair is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And a quick note, WDET is supported by the Belle Isle Art Fair. Mark, Maddie, thank you so much for joining me today on the Metro.
Thank you, and I look forward to seeing everybody this weekend.
Thanks for having us.
Coming up, what would happen if public institutions like museums had to answer to government compliance, regardless of what's known to be fact? We'll learn more about what museums are seeing as the Trump administration turns its eyes to the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. You all stay right there. We'll be right back. This is The Metro.